Hello and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about the experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I've got the honor of speaking with Dione Moser. And Dione is she is a local dynamo. She has the energy of 10 people, I think. Every time I go to an event, she's around about and doing stuff and always smiling and helping people out and just really very energetic and community server. And I'm really honored to get a chance to chat with her today on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So let me take a minute and introduce you to everybody. So Dione specializes in brand marketing and growth strategies for energetic and innovative companies. And she's currently owner and CEO of the three businesses. And we'll talk about that a little bit today. And then she also has directly contributed to the growth of almost 200 organizations within the United States. So she's very active in what she's doing, helping companies to grow. She founded Impact Marketing and Design Inc. in 24 and a half years ago?
Yeah,
Seems like yesterday, doesn't it?
it does. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And you started in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
Mhm.
there's maybe a little story there is how you came to be in Temecula.
Okay.
And so you say you started with nothing but a loan, a prayer, and a solid marketing strategy. What more do you need?
Right. Just hope and
Right?
prayers.
And yeah, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So today you have 8 employees, 100 plus loyal clients, and more than 1.5 million in annual revenue, which is great. Congratulations.
I guess that's only with one company. I think that's only with one, but yes.
Okay, so it's at least that. So
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And let's see, you created Coworking Connection Inc. in 2011, and you're through that business providing mentorship and resources to entrepreneurs and startup organizations and businesses. And then both of your businesses, or all three of your businesses, serve your greater why. I'd like to ask you a little bit about that too today, which is to inspire, collaborate, and strategize with businesses and business professionals.
Yeah.
So with all that going on, how's things going today?
Great. Yeah, just running around with my hair on fire is my normal statement.
So what's the latest and greatest in your businesses? What's happening?
Latest and greatest. Okay. Well, impact marketing is growing quickly, rapidly. We had our best year ever in 25 years last year.
Wow.
So that's good.
So what contributed to that? Were you just, was it coming off of COVID, or what happened? Why was it your best year? What's the story there?
It's just, acquiring new clients and you know, just building the business. So
Mhm.
it's been doing good and it's been picking up. And yeah, COVID was a bad year for everybody, but
Right.
just acquiring new clients and building with them. So that's been good. That was with Impact. And then I would say with co-working, we're coming back from COVID and people are looking for, they're sick of working in the house.
Yeah.
So, we're really busy with that. We're really gaining some momentum in that and people wanting to get out of the house and really, people are looking for something different than just an office space. They're looking for an environment and a community to belong to. And we really serve that purpose and it's so much fun to do.
So tell me about that. When you say community, what does that mean to you?
So co-working I've had for about 13 years now.
Okay, and
And
while you're talking, I'm gonna open up, I'm gonna share my screen on your your co-working website.
okay.
All right, so right there. So go ahead. What's how'd you get started in that? And what's your focus on community and building that for your
So
clients?
co-working came to me when I started my business Impact in Grand Rapids, like I said,
Hmm.
and I moved back to California in 2004. And I kept
Okay.
my
So
office in.
did you move to Temecula in 2004
I originally moved to Temecula,
or
Murrieta in
Murrieta? Yeah. Temecula Valley.
1989. Yeah, I moved in 1989 and I kind of bounced around. Um, and just, you know, ran around the world for a little while and then moved back back to Murrieta, Temecula area in 2004.
Okay.
So when I moved back here, I kept my office in Grand Rapids and my staff out there. And I thought, oh, I'm going to work from home. This is going to be fabulous.
Uh, and that was
So
with
kind of,
Impact, right?
and
That
that
you
was with
started with
Impact. And
Impact.
yeah, right. And then that's kind of where I got the idea of um, a shared office space, I guess, was back then. I thought working from home would be fun and great and, allow a lot of freedom and flexibility, which it did.
Hmm.
However, it became very isolating and I'm a workaholic. So the dishes and the laundry and all that stuff didn't get done. What got done was work. I'd wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning instead of just going back to sleep because my office wasn't that easily accessible. I would go in and work. And so I was just a workaholic. I couldn't separate. So I started coming up with this idea of shared space and a
Hmm.
collaborative space in '04. So,
Wow. Oh, four. That was way
yeah,
before the big
yeah,
co-working idea really hit the big time.
right.
You
I got
kind of
ready to
survived
launch
that
it.
whole cycle.
Yeah, I got ready to launch it in like '07, '08 when, and then the economy took a dump. So
Right.
I had to really focus on my marketing company because that was my bread and butter at the time. So
Uh-huh.
I stepped back from that dream for a couple of years. And then as we started coming out of that recession, all my friends that had, knew what I was working on, they're just like poking at me. You got to build this. We need this space. And
Hmm.
so with the help of a small team of other entrepreneurs and stuff that really believed in it, they kind of
Uh-huh.
pushed me and, I found the location and they helped me get it going. And so 13 years later, here I still am and now 2 locations. So that's great.
So you got a location in Murrieta and then one in where? In
And
Temecula?
Temecula.
The town center there?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the Tower Center. Is that what they call
Tower
it?
Center. Yeah. Right
Tower
on
Center.
Inez and Rancho. So,
Yeah, and I've actually used your event center in Murrieta. It's great. We've used it for presentations and different things. So,
and it's the most important. I struggled for a while to really find what it is that's so special and unique about co-working and what it really boils down to and what a good friend of mine, Adria, said. She goes, it's more than just a space, it's an experience. And that's really what ends up happening because there's people here, you can go talk to them. Just yesterday, I had something that I was challenged with, and we have an upper level CEO that works out of here for a large organization,
mhm.
and I went over and kind of talked to him about what I was struggling with. And, he's been there, done that. So he gave me a lot of amazing advice. And that's happened I can't even tell you how many times that's happened throughout the years. It just sometimes as entrepreneurs, and this is kind of backtracking a little bit too, when I started Impact, I felt so
Mhm.
alone. And I felt weird talking to people because I didn't want people to think I was weak or vulnerable or that I was struggling with anything. And then as soon as I started networking with people and having conversations, my
Mhm.
business just started expanding. And so co-working is more than just a space. It's a space to come and do business if you need to do business, but it's also a great space to meet people and collaborate and really I don't know. It like Adria said, it's an experience that you're not going to get working from home. You're not going to get from working in just a regular office building with other people that you might work with because there's so much diversity within co-working. We've got people that are entrepreneurs and people that are high level CEOs, or executives. So
Mhm.
it's really awesome.
So what is it that you attribute to you personally? What is it that you see you're adding value there to pull all this together and kind of make it all work?
No, it me personally, I do a lot of business development. So I've done a lot of Tony Robbins, I've done a lot of Darren Hardy. Um, Donald Miller has a great program, Story Brand. All of that brings into a wealth of knowledge that I have. So then when somebody's struggling with something or has a question, just sitting down and just having a conversation, so many great ideas come from that. And that's what I love about co-working and impact is that I can really help people um, get where they're going in their business and their professional life. So that's, I don't know, I think that just answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm thinking, it's like you've got co-working where you have a place where and just a story comes to mind for me where you're sitting around a campfire and you've got a fire going in the fire pit and you have coals in there maybe and all those coals are hot and they're red and there's a lot of action in it. They're burning away and there's a lot of heat being evolved. But if you take one of those pieces of coal and you pull it off to the side and isolate it by itself, it dies and it gets cold. And I see what co-working is kind of the ability for people who want to get action going in their business and in their life and have fun and just be part of what's happening is to get into that coal pile, right?
Yeah.
So get into a position where you're actually, in the heat of things, right? So as an analogy. So I see co-working as being that coal pile, that fire going on.
Yeah, it is. I love that analogy. That's great. I mean, we do have some people that don't participate at a higher level and some people that are all in, but either way, it's a great mix. So yeah. But I love that analogy. I'll have to remember that.
Well, it's true too. I've seen it, you go out camping and you see that. So it's
And I think that's how you and I met several years ago, wasn't it? Through Joe
yeah,
that was
yeah,
working
through
out of
Joe,
here?
our buddy
Yeah,
Joe von Grichten. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and he's doing some amazing stuff now too.
he
I want
is.
to
I
interview him
know.
on the show.
Yes, you do. He's so amazing. I love him.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the synergism. We're kind of looking at the two businesses, and I was curious to know what was it about those two that, I mean, with all the, thousands of different kinds of businesses you could have started. You picked Impact first, and then you went to co-working. And I kind of picturing why, but do you have kind of a description of what it was that inspired you to pick those two companies?
Well, Impact found me pretty much.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what I was doing. I was young, just gotten married, just found out I was pregnant, and I had just started helping out a company. I was like, I'll help out until I find something because my background is I have a cosmetology license.
Okay.
I was in retail, and I ran the Little Professor bookstore here in Temecula for many years. So
Mhm.
I had a lot of retail background, and I had moved to Grand Rapids, and they asked me to help out with a company that kind of did similar to what I'm doing now. They basically did apparel, embroidery, and screen printing for the Professional Bowlers Tour. Um, and I was just helping him out. And while I was helping him out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really love this.
What was it you loved
And
about it? What was it
just
that
working with people, I was passionate about the bowling industry at the time too. I still am. I love the bowling industry.
okay.
Um, it was just fun, and it was just different than retail. And I kind of started running it myself. And I remember thinking, I want to stay here, but they're like, oh, we can't afford you, and I was still looking for a job. And my dad, he just goes, why don't you buy them out? And I'm like, I have no money. I just found out I'm pregnant. There's no way. And he's like,
It's
just
bad
ask
timing,
him.
huh?
Yeah, bad
Is there
timing.
ever a good time?
No, no. But my dad, he's like, just ask them how much, they want. And so I asked them, and they kind of wanted to get out of it. And so they said $70,000, and they might as well said 7,000 at that point in time, because I didn't have either.
Uh-huh.
And so my parents took out a loan for that. Well, they had $60,000 in retirement. They took out a loan for 10, and they sent it to me. And let me tell you, I had nightmares about my parents living under a freeway because I lost all their money.
Oh my. So no
But
pressure.
that's how it started. And I haven't looked back. And I
So
built it.
you said you had a marketing plan? Where did your marketing plan come from?
Uh, I didn't have a huge plan back then because I was still really new. I had an idea of where I wanted to go. I kind of call it, I guess impact was more of a little bit of dumb luck, a little bit too.
Was it a
It's like I didn't
franchise
know
or
what
is
I
it just
didn't
somebody's
know.
company?
Huh?
Was it a franchise or was it just somebody's company?
No, it was just a basic company. It was called Spectrum Merchandise, I think.
Okay.
So I
Really?
basically bought over their inventory and their client base, and then I
Mhm.
just took off with it.
Okay.
Um, so
So let's
yeah,
take a quick look at that. It's fascinating, actually. I'm going to share the impact screen and you've got products, and services. Products are, let's hit the shop now and see what we've got going on here. It's like there's all kinds of fun things. It's almost like an Amazon for
I'm in the process of redoing my website too. So
well, that never stops.
I know it's like an unending thing. So
Yeah, but looks great. I mean, you've got, apparel and bags. You can put your logo on anything, right? So it's basically specialty advertising, right?
right, and it's funny that you bring this up. This isn't one of my favorite parts. I
Where should
have
I go?
this.
What's,
Well, I
where do you want me to go?
no. Well, nowhere on here. I want you to talk to me.
Okay. All
No,
right. We'll
no,
do that.
I say that because I feel like I have a website because everybody has a website, and I think it's really important. And I have a lot of clients that like to shop.
Uh-huh.
But where we're different is it's about partnering with our clients. It's about finding out what their marketing message is, who they're marketing to,
Ah, okay.
why they're doing it. And so I can sell product all day long on a website and they can go and pick and do all of that, but that's not where I light up. That's not my
Ah,
passion.
that's
My passion is
beautiful.
really having the conversation, figuring out what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, where they want to go with their marketing message. So
That's
that's
really
why I'm kind of redoing
great.
my website right now a little bit too, because I want to convey that story
Hmm.
and that branding message for myself to my clients. I really want people that I can work with, not somebody that just wants to go on and order 250 pens. I mean, I have that all day long, but that's not where I light up and where I can really serve my clients and people that I know.
Love that. I love that. That's how I saw it when I was out selling. I sold to companies like Apple and Hewlett Packard and Microsoft. And where I lit up with that was figuring out ways to help them give them a competitive advantage with my
Yeah.
solution. And
Hmm.
I'd walk in the door. I had a basic set of stuff, some material, but we had to actually create something with it and mold those creations or fabricate them or create something that worked in their assembly that was totally unique and would give them that competitive advantage. And that was so much fun.
Hmm. It is.
So,
I have so much fun with it.
so tell me about that. Tell me about what is it that got you started? Because that's different. Most people who have that kind of business from my perspective anyway, are just like, yeah, we've got stuff on the, just buy some pens, put your logo on it and everything's going to be fine.
I
But
call them promo slingers.
yeah, promo
They're just
slingers.
slinging
So
it.
What is it? What's your process? How do you go through and find those unique solutions, and how do you fulfill them?
Well, I'll give you one example. I had a client that sold like cancer insurance. And her initial thing to me was like, hey, I just want some pens or something to pass out with my logo on them. Pens for me are a bow on a package. You have them, but they're not really a big marketing. They're the number one selling promotional item. But for me, I don't know that I've ever picked up a pen and go, oh, I'm going to call this company. I think
Right?
it's a reminder of a product or service. It's a bow on a package. So,
Okay.
but how can I take that same amount of money and apply it to a better promotional item? So when she came to me, I asked her what she was trying to do. She's like, "Oh, I'm just trying to sell cancer insurance to everybody." And I'm like, "Well, that doesn't do anything for me. If I
Hmm.
was to pick up anything like that, that doesn't speak to me." So
Right.
I said, who is your ideal client? Who do you want to sell cancer insurance to? And she goes, oh, firefighters. They're great clients. I love working with them. They really need it to provide for their family. And I said, great. Let's start there. Let's just say that we're going to market to cancer or to firefighters for the next 3 to 6 months. So I had a couple of friends that were firefighters. So I contacted him and I said, what is your lingo? What are you guys talking about in the firehouse? What's going on? And so after a couple of interviews, something that really stood out is their big term was I've got your six, which is a terminology that they use for where to look or whatever. So
Sure. It's your
that
back.
was
I
really,
got your back.
yeah, I
It's
got your
the six
back. And
o'clock.
so
It's
I got
the
your six,
six
but
o'clock.
they
I
use
got
the
your back.
clock. So yeah, so I guess they use that so that they know where to look and go and stuff. So I
Mhm.
thought that was really cool. So another thing that came up is they drink a lot of coffee in the firehouse and things like that. So it's still a basic item. It's a coffee mug, but her messaging, AIG Insurance, I've got your six. Now it speaks to the client that she wants to work with,
Mm.
so what she would do is put together a little basket with some coffee, ground coffee and a couple of mugs in there. And then she would have some information about how she services people that are firefighters and stuff like that. So it was a phenomenal program for her and she did great with it. So
Hmm.
it's like taking somebody with a smaller budget or a budget they're not really sure what to do, or they most people do what I call the spray and pray. Let me just throw my logo on something and, throw it all out there and
Hmm.
everybody will be happy. So I love when I get to work with people more one-on-one like that, really craft a message and really have purpose to that marketing mission. So that's where I light up, where I like to help people and why I'm a little different than the promo slingers out there. So
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I didn't know that about you. I'm just like, wow, I'm really impressed. That's great. I love that
yeah.
because it's so creative, and it gives you the ability to actually make a difference for your clients.
Hmm.
One of the things I learned in my marketing experience is the idea of attribution. When you're brand building, a lot of times, what is a brand? A brand, I was explained one time by a gentleman. I was sitting on an airplane with an executive from Gore-Tex. He was one of the founding executives at Gore-Tex, which is the fabric company. And he told me that a brand is 5 words: promise delivered, if I can remember it, a promise delivered consistently. Maybe it's just 3 words: a promise delivered consistently, right? That's a brand. So you go into McDonald's, everywhere you go. I've been to McDonald's almost all over the planet, and they're all the same. So, they're delivering a promise consistently. But when you're building you have a small company, it costs millions and millions and millions of dollars they spend on developing that idea in their clients' minds, right? So how do you go about brand building for a small company who doesn't have millions to spend, but needs to really make a difference and make the revenue needle move in the positive direction when they spend money on advertising?
That's, you know what, that's so important. And I think that's how smaller businesses get sucked into random advertising that really doesn't make sense because they don't have somebody, they don't have a partner that sits down with them and really helps them look at who do they want to do business with? And, as you know, being back in, when you first start, you're like, I just need somebody. I need somebody with skin, someone that's breathing that can give me money. And it's like, it's more than that. It's, are they, somebody that sits at a desk all day? Are they a CEO, an entrepreneur, a home wife, homemaker with kids? That all plays a big difference. And it's not to say that you can't sell to everybody, but it's in short amounts of time, you want to focus on a specific industry or specific client that you want to target. I mean, you've heard the saying a million times, what you focus on, you attract. As soon as you buy a new car, you see that car everywhere.
Sure.
And you never saw it before. So once you really get squared in and you're like, okay, for the next 3 or 6 months, I'm going to focus on, car dealerships or whatever. So your messaging and your message is going to have a language that those car dealerships are going to go, hey, they know exactly what I'm going through or what I'm looking for. They can solve my pain. So it's being
And when you
what's the
do that
word?
too, you get that aspect of attribution without having, like in digital marketing, you click on something and it's tagged and you can tell that somebody clicked on whatever it is you sent out, whether it's a landing page or an email or whatever, that all is tracked and data is analyzed and you can see, get all kinds of, feedback on how things are working or not working. And that way you can kind of measure your return on investment for whatever it is you're spending, right? But
Yeah,
when you're putting a mug into somebody's hand, there's really no way to click on it to get that feedback. But what you're
there's
doing
not.
sounds like what you're doing is taking the old school branding idea, but you're focusing it into such a narrow area in a specific geographic location that
Mhm. With
you
a
can actually
specific
track the
audience.
attribution because
Hmm.
if a firefighter calls you, they say, well, yeah, I saw your mug, and you start to get that, maybe not exact, but you get that feeling that, well, yeah, this advertising, this campaign is really making a difference.
And why I like promotional marketing in more than other traditional marketing. I think you need all aspects of marketing to kind of tie in and speak to each other. So it's important that your web person and your promotional person and your social media person, they're all on the same page because that's so
Mhm.
important. But promotional marketing is repetitive. So usually when you walk in or you're talking to somebody and you're selling your product or service, they're not looking for you right now 90% of the time. Very rarely do you walk in and they're like, "Oh, I've been looking for you. Like, where have you been?" They're
Right.
looking for you 6 months, 3 months down the road. So if you do it right and you have the right messaging and it's going to sit around for, a year, 2 years. I mean, I know I've had some stuff for like 6 years, some promotional items.
Hmm.
Um, so if done correctly, your messaging is staying there and staying around when people do finally need you. So that's why I kind of like promotional marketing. The ROI is like your mug. How do you quantify how many times somebody looked at that mug every day while they had coffee? You know,
Yeah.
or somebody walks into their office and they're like, oh, that mortgage lending logo. It's just I saw that on a billboard. I saw that in a social media post. That kind of thing. So it kind of is brand recognition, when you start seeing the same messaging or the same logo everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I can imagine, like with your firefighter example, if when a firefighter comes in and actually purchases insurance from you, you could actually request, ask them for a testimonial,
Yeah.
and that you can put back into it and feed that positive um, brand recognition. And
Testimonials are so good for small businesses. You just
yeah,
really need that.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit. I wanted to ask you, you've been in Temecula Valley here for what, 20 years?
I originally moved here in '89, so, and then I was probably out of state for probably 5 years, but yeah,
Okay. So can I ask you, what is it you love about Temecula Valley?
a good question. Um, I mean, the people, my tribe, the weather.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to do business in California. I'm not going to lie about that, but when doing business in Grand Rapids to here was a big transition for me, but um, I'm here mainly because my family's here and but I love the community. I love this specific area that we're in. I feel like is very um positive and entrepreneurial. And my chamber, Patrick Ellis over at the Murrieta Chamber, he's so supportive and welcoming everybody over there. I feel like I have a good solid tribe that whenever I run into anything, I know who to go to, and I can get help with anything I need. So
Mhm.
that's empowering too, because you feel like you've got more leverage to do things too, you know.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, that's beautiful. It's a great answer. So, wow, the time just goes so fast here.
Oh, it does.
I want to, I just what, you got time for one more question?
Sure.
Awesome. So I asked this of everybody on the show. It's basically looking at your whole life, flashing in front of your face now,
Uh,
your whole life. What was the most difficult decision, most challenging or boldest decision that you've made, and what were the consequences? Leadership decision.
oh, that's a great question. Um, I think the hardest decision for me, honestly, was probably starting Co-working Connection.
Okay, why?
Um, you know what? I kind of said earlier was when I started Impact, it was kind of ignorance was bliss a little bit. Like I didn't know the ins and outs of entrepreneurship and the struggles and the headaches. And so when I was gearing up to do co-working, I had all this fire and this passion to do it, but I also knew all the pitfalls. I know the success rates of businesses. It's like, oh, can I do it? I was more scared, and it was hard for me. And my son was younger than, well, he was still young, but I mean, there was just a lot more mental challenges and anguish because I knew so much more. I don't know
Yeah,
if that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's like
I
why?
knew more than I wanted to know.
Yeah. Here,
But
go get me a
fortunately, I
stick so
had
I can beat
Joe and
myself
a
with
lot
it.
of people. Huh?
Go get me a stick so I can beat myself with it.
Yeah, but my mom, she was just like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, you're so busy with Impact. I don't know how you have time to do this. And
Well, I'm
it was
assuming
just,
you'd already paid your loan back for the impact.
oh yeah, yeah, I did. I
So
paid
that's
that back
good.
within a few years. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's amazing right there, because most businesses don't survive even the first few years.
yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of guidance back then too. I had this guy, Dennis Lenz. He believed in me, and he gave me credit with the company that did a bunch of the stuff that I sold. And he's like, just, I believe in you. You go do it. Don't worry about, whatever. We'll figure it out. Just go. And it was kind of the belief of everybody, and the
Mhm.
ignorance, like I said, is bliss. I didn't know that there was all these speed bumps in owning a business till down the road, but it was great. So,
What's your secret to a young entrepreneur starting their company right now? What would be your wise sage wisdom?
oh, my wise says there's so much. Have a mentor, surround yourself with a panel of people that have been there, done that, because it will save you so many bumps and bruises along the way, because they've probably been through it. And invest in yourself. Invest in Tony Robbins and Darian Hardy and grow. And it's not only what it can do for you and your company, but I'm always like, my big thing is pay it forward. Someone was always there for me at certain stages of my business and my life and my career. And so I learned to empower myself to also not only help me, but help others around me. And I think that that's just so huge, especially in such a small community that we're in. We all help each other.
Mm.
It's just an awesome experience to help each other grow. So just surround yourself with amazing people and invest in yourself. I think those are probably my top two.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah. Thank
fantastic.
you.
Well, anything that you'd like to say about your businesses, anything you're promoting, got a book in the works, anything you got going on?
No, nothing
Okay.
like that.
All
Nothing
right.
fun like that. Maybe one day. I don't know. I feel like my life is pretty ordinary.
Oh,
It's
but
fun.
you know
It's
what?
fun for sure, but it's ordinary.
It's that I read a book this last week called Pound the Stone. And I think it's a story about a young basketball player who grows up, and it's about the stonemason who, when you hit the stone 100 times and nothing happens, and on that 101st time it breaks, and you just got to keep pounding the stone, doing the
Yep.
basics, and success comes. And that's where it comes from. It's just being there consistently, doing the
Showing
basics
up.
every day.
Yep. Keep showing up. And it's so important.
Yeah. And it
Yep.
sounds like, and there's a lot of value there. And that's what I see in you, is that you're there all the time, and you've got great ideas, and you're coming to the table with creativity and fun and energy. And that's cool. I just love that.
It makes life fun. Life's too short. You better have fun with what you're doing.
Right.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining me today on the show, Dion. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you it was such an honor. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Talk to you soon.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.